Hello, welcome to class. I'm Temi. I'm your fashion tutor at TCG Fashions. Today I'll be showing you how to construct your basic skirt blocks. In our previous classes, I've shown you how to take accurate measurement for your skirt. So today I'll be teaching you three different blocks, foundational blocks for skirt construction. These three things they are the foundation for any kind of skirt you want to construct. Believe me, any kind of skirt. Okay, so I'll be showing you how to construct your straight basic skirt block. I'll be showing you how to construct your shaped A-line long skirt and shaped penciled long skirt. So in my own case, I'll be using a reduced scale because I would like my camera to capture everything at a glance. So in case you are wondering, she's mentioning this length and she's measuring this length, so that's how I'm explaining. I'm going to be using reduced scale for my length so that my camera can capture everything at a glance. But when you want to practice and submit, you have to use your own accurate measurement. You are not reducing anything. I want to believe that is clear. So you will get your pattern paper like so. Then you will need to create a rectangular box. It is in that box that we are going to be constructing our skirt. So how do we get to create that box? Before you even go ahead and create any box, you need to leave margins. Leave margin. These pattern making and precautions are very key. You leave margins at the top, at the bottom, right and left. What are the functions of margins? Margins protect your construction while you are still constructing. Take for example, I'm working on a particular pattern and maybe something just tears my pattern paper at the edge. If I have margin, I can still salvage the issue, the situation. It doesn't affect my construction, so I can get rid of the tearing. Maybe something is pouring, water is seeping in, and you can see the water before it gets into the pattern. The water touches your paper but not your pattern, your main construction. Your margin serves as, let me just use a Nigerian term, bodyguard. It serves a bodyguard for your pattern. So how do we get to know the margin to leave? It depends on the amount of paper you have. In my own case, I can't do more than 2. I can't do more than 2 inches. 2 inches at the upper parts. Let me just check if that 2 inches will be good. Okay, I think I'm good with 2 inches. 2 inches at the upper parts, 2 inches at the lower part. So I'll quickly do that. Then I'm going to leave, like, let's say one inch thereabouts on the right and left. So let me quickly create the box. I'll be right back. Okay, so in case somebody is wondering, what did I use to create my rectangle, this box inside? So don't forget, I left my margin 2 inches up, 2 inches down, 1 inch by the sides, just like I explained earlier. So then how did I create the box that is inside? You are going to be using the formula half hip plus 1 inch ease. 1 inch ease. So my hip is 35. 35 divided by 2, that gives me 17 and a half. Then plus 1 inch ease, that gives me 18 and a half. So what is the importance of this ease? In pattern making, it is not advisable you construct your pattern with your exact measurements. This is not freehand. In pattern making, one of the advantages of pattern making is manipulation and doing different things with your pattern. And when you are manipulating, it is very, very possible. In fact, it is what will happen for you to eat into your measurement at one point or the other. Maybe while you are contouring, while you are shaping, you can eat into your measurement. But whenever you add ease, even if it is half inch or 1 inch, you can, rely on your ease to manipulate, to design, and you're not going to touch your actual measurements. Ease is just like additional allowance added for the purpose of manipulation and designing. So I have from A to B to be my half hip plus 1 inch ease. So I have my A to B to be 18.5 inches. Let me show you. Let's confirm. So this is going to be my 18.5. Can you see? 18.5 inches. So that's that about that. So the next thing we are going to be doing now is to input our vertical length measurements. Are we together? Vertical length measurement. So my waist to hip, even though I'm using a reduced scale, I will still mentioning the actual measurement so that you're not confused. but whatever I'm mentioning, I'm already reducing the scale before I measure on the pattern. So my waist to hip is 9 inches. So I'll be marking my waist to hip. So don't get confused with what I'm marking. Like I said, I'm using a reduced scale. My waist to knee is 26. So I'll be marking my waist to knee. I'm using half scale of 26. And my skirt length is 42. This is my skirt length. Are we together? So I will move forward a little and mark all these measurements again. I will mark at the middle, then I will mark at the other end. So my waist to hip is 9. Are we together? My waist to knee is 26. Then this is my skirt length. So while constructing your box, after using half hip plus 1 to create A to B, you're going to be creating the length of the pattern paper using your exact skirt length. I believe that is clear. So I'll move forward also, and I will mark my vertical length measurement. My waist to hip is 9. My waist to knee is 26. And this is my skirt length. So I'll get my ruler and I will rule horizontal line across. When you are constructing your pattern, after you are done learning and you want to start constructing proper, we work with thin lines. That means you will sharpen your pencil very well. But for this class, for the purpose of you guys seeing what I'm doing, I'm working with very thin lines so that my constructions can be visible. And when you want to submit your own draft also, for this learning phase, you need to work with thick lines so that I can see what you are doing. But after you are done, you've mastered the art and you want to start constructing patterns for your clients, we work with thin lines. Okay? So that being said, I will join these points together with a line. Okay, so now I will just label. This upper line automatically becomes my waistline. Let me just write W. Then this one is my hip line, like I mentioned. This one is my knee line, and this one is my length. So let's take it one step at a time. When you are constructing your long skirts, you don't use the knee measurements as it were. Because, okay, let me cite this example. If you are going to be making an outfit that will pencil to the knee, then there will be flare attached to the hem of to the knee circumference. If you dare make your knee to get to your exact knee, what I'm saying is that outfit, you won't be able to walk in it. You should have seen people, wear those kind of outfits. When your extension starts from the knee, exactly on the knee, you want to attach your gode, your gore, you want to put this one, you want to attach your gode, you want to attach your flare, your circles, and you are attaching everything. Your fullness is starting exactly on the knee point. You won't be able to walk. So there's something we call above knee. Some people call it raised knee. The above knee is quite explanatory. It just means you are making some inches above the knee to be your knee for construction. And once you determine that above knee becomes your knee permanently for that construction, in fact for life. If you made the mistake of using your exact knee measurement as your knee when you are constructing, the outfits won't be, you won't be able to walk very well. But don't worry, you'll be able to, snap pictures, you're able to model, and if you have a car, in fact, even wearing this kind of skirts is not comfortable because you are kind of cramped and choked. So you are meant to go above your knee to use that particular part for whatever thing you want to do. Don't worry, as the class progresses, you will understand better. So this is it. There's a range between 2 inches and 4 inches. You can go, this is the knee. Maybe I should even write this one in full so that we'll see. We can go above the knee towards the hip, either with 2 inches or 4 inches. If you are a tall person, just stick to 2 inches. If you are a short person, you can go as high as 4 inches above your knee. What that does for you is that it makes your lower torso to look longer. So that way it gives you a taller illusion, if you like that. So, but for this class, we'll be using 2 inches above the knee. But I'm making it clear that you can use between 2 and 4. In fact, there are some styles on the net that the extension, the flare, everything starts maybe like 2 inches or 3 inches below the bum. You should have seen different styles like that. That the extension, the extension starts just below the bum. Are we together? But regularly, if you want to make normal, just this regular Asoebi styles that you will attach any flare, just do either 2 or 4 inches above your knee. That being said, I'm going to be using 2 for this class, so you can also use 2. And don't forget, I'm working with reduced scale. Okay, so you measure 2 inches upward. Don't forget, I'm working with reduced scale, so measure 2 inches upward. Then I'm going to be cleaning off this initial nail line, or I'll make the line faint. I might not be able to clean it up properly. I'll make the line faint so that nobody is confused. But I had to rule it so that everybody will understand, both the gurus in class and beginners. Okay, so this is what I have. Are we together? So this one that I'm about to rule becomes my above knee. Like I said, some people call it raised knee. Above knee, raised knee, whichever one. Okay, so the next thing to do is to label. This part that is close to me will be my back, so this line is my center back, so I will write center back, and the short form of center back is CB. This part that is away is my center front. Are we together? And the short form of center front is CF. So label. So now we are good to go. So the first thing you need to understand is, when you are making skirts, there are 2 types. There is one that people just make center back straight. That one is okay. But if you want to really make a skirt that will fit you like a glove, you should have a slanted CB. But it's not every time that slanted CB is necessary, but I will advise you do, because if you check your spine, like I explained during basic bodies class, our back, we don't have a straight back. There's no human being that the back is like this. The back, it has the spinal cord, it has a curve. And like I always tell my students, you should make your outfit to be able to fit the body. You don't make an outfit that you are forcing the body to fit into it. It won't work. So I'll be showing you how to make without slanted back, slanted CB. Then I will also show you how to make your skirt with slanted CB. So let's use this part for the one without slanted CB, then the other part for slanted CB. So if you are making the one without slanted CB, you just measure your waist divided by 4. My waist is 27. So 27 divided by 4, what is my result? That should be 6.75 thereabout, but let's check. So I'm correct. So my weight divided by 4 is 6.75. I will mark. 6.75. I will mark. Are we together? Just leave it like that. Don't rule it yet. Then you come to your hip. The hip is 35. 35 divided by 4. 35 divided by 4. That should give me 17 and now divided by. Let me just check. 35 divided by 4 gives me 8.75. Okay, I will mark 8.75. I will mark. Are we together? Okay, so when you are constructing your skirt, there's something we call DART. D-A-R-T. That controls excess fullness around a particular area where it is introduced, and the main purpose of that is to enhance fitness, to make your outfit smarter and things like that. So this is the actual waist measurement, and if you are going to be adding your darts, if you are attaching this skirt to your bodies, like I'm making a dress and I'll be joining the skirt to a bodies, just go and check where the dart line is on the bodies and place that exactly on that part on the skirt. Why? So that your dart line can flow from bodies to skirt. It will look so awkward if the darts for the bodies ends this way and the one for the skirt ends the other way. So if you are making a professional outfit, the dart lines have to run through both the bodies and the skirt. But if you are making ordinary skirts that you are not attaching to anything, you have a liberty to put your darts the way that will suit you. Beyond controlling fullness around the particular part of the body, that also they are meant to bring out the hip bone, to make that hip bone. There's a way that should be placed on a skirt that it actually serves the purpose of giving you that fit. Are we together? So it brings out the hip bone properly. And I'll be showing you, or maybe teaching you, I'll be teaching you a particular short formula to know. There are some textbooks that will tell you that, okay, for the back do this one, for the front do this one. You can't have a fixed figure or a fixed placement, because when it comes to garment construction, you work with sizes. What if, for example, an author says the waist dart for the back should be 5 inches, and you are making for a very small person that the whole waist is 5 inches. So if you now use 5 inches as a dart, so what happens to the outfit? So that's not a general rule, but if you are making for but you can use this formula. You will divide the existing waist by 2, then for back you will add 0.5 inches to it. So existing waist here is 6.75. Existing waist here is 6.75. Are we together? So I will divide 6.75 by 2, like so. So I will just mark a thin line to show the division of my existing waist. Then towards the side, I will add ½ inch. Are we together? Are we together? So this becomes my dart line. When you are sewing darts, it's important you understand the part of that. Let me use this to explain. So this center line, I call it dart line. Are we together? So the intake on both sides of this line, we call them dart legs. So this center line is called dart line. This one is dart leg. This one is dart legs. This pointed part is called dart apex. So these dart legs, for back, you can use ½ inch on both sides. ½ inch on both sides. But like I said, if you are making bodies, whatever you use for the dart intake for the bodies, if you are making a dress that you'll be attaching bodies to the skirt, whatever you use for the intake for the dart for the bodies is what you should use for the skirt, so that it can run parallel to each other. But if you are making just skirts, you can make your dart intake to be ½ inch on both sides. Are we together? Do you understand how we got here? We divided what we have on the waist by 2, then we moved towards the side by half. So now I want to fix in my dart legs. So I'll just add ½ inch. Let me take this away. I will add ½ inch to the left and to the right of my dart leg. Are we together? Then when it comes to the length of darts, the back skirt's dart length is usually longer than the front, but then this is subjected to a modification depending on the design that you have. So you can make the dart leg for the back to be 6.5 inches, then the dart length for the front to be 5 inches. But whatever you are doing, just ensure that your dart does not get to your hip line. The same way I explained during bodies class, that dart doesn't get to the bust. It's the same way for skirt. So whatever you are doing, you have to ensure that your dart doesn't get to the hip line. So I'm using reduced scale, and I want to make my dart length to be let's say 6 inches or 6.5. So if I'm doing 6.5, so that means this is where my 6.5 will be. Are we together? So I will just get a straight line, and this is how you get a straight line. You have to ensure that your dart length, the length of the dart, is straight. So this is a straight line. This is a straight line. Then I will connect it to the dart legs of the dart. Okay, the one at the center is the length, the two sides, they are the legs. Okay, so this is my dart. Merely looking at these, whenever you are introducing darts to a garment, you are going to cut away that dart. Either you cut it away or you stitch it. Like I said, it controls fullness around an area. So if I'm now taking away this dart, that means I have shortened my waist measurement by 1 inch, because the two dart legs amount to 1 inch. So if I take 1 inch out of the waist measurement, that means the outfit can no longer size me. It can no longer, I can't enter into the cloth any longer. So whatever you take in as that, you replace by the side. We call what is replaced by the side dart replacement. So I will just, what is here, 1 inch, I will just come on here and add my 1 inch for dart replacement. So this is the end of my waist, and this is the end of the hip. Okay, so let me go over the hip again. The hip is 35 divided by 4. That gives me 8.75. Are we together? So I've already marked 8.75. But in the beginning of the class, we added 1 inch is, if you remember. So this 1 inch is, we are dividing it half for the back, half for the front. So just add half inch, I beg your pardon, add half inch to the 8.75. So this becomes my line for the hip for the back. So then you get your hip curve. In pattern making, it is advisable you get your curves, but there are times that you won't really get all the construction with the curves. You might still need to use your hand to blend, but nevertheless, let's get the curves ready. It helps us in getting it makes our work easier. Whenever you are connecting outward curves, you use this outside part. Outside curve, I mean curves that have to do with your side of the body, maybe hip, waist to hip, anything outside the body. But if you are connecting an inward curve, maybe your armhole, the end of the armhole to your waist, are we together? You use inner curve. During our basic bodies class, I think I showed us how to place this. So for our skirt class, when you are constructing anything that has to do with the sides, outer curve, you see the way I placed can you see? This is the outer curve. So you connect. You can see that this one, it even connects effortlessly. If I'm trying to connect using this, it might connect, but that's not the right thing. So you connect this way, then you roll. Are we together? So I've connected my hip to my waist. Okay, so if you are making a straight skirt, which is what we are doing, whatever you have on your hip is what you take to the hem. At this point, you don't really need anything with the knee for now. So I have 9.25 on my hip. I will go to the length and mark 9.25. Are we together? 9.25. So I will just take my ruler and connect my hip to the hem with a straight line, like so. Let your ruler lay flat so that you won't have double lines. I almost had double lines here. But if you check here very well, it looks sharp. It looks disjointed. It looks, it's just there. There's no even part that is like this. So you need to blend here. You can either use your curve tool to blend, or you use your hand. Like I said, there are times that you might need to use your hand. So you blend this part. You blend this part properly. It has to be a smooth connection. Okay, so this is about the back for now. We are still coming back to it, but let's move to the front. So for the front, the same thing. Let's label this C. I love working with alphabet. It makes explanation easier. So from this pointed part, you will measure your waist divided by 4 again, which is 6.75. Are we together? So you measure your waist divided by 4 again, like so. Okay, then you will come to the hip and measure your hip divided by 4 plus half inch is. Okay, hip divided by 4 is 8.75 plus half inch is 9.25. Can you see? My hip for front and back is touching. It has to touch because that was what I used in constructing the block, the rectangular block. So this is what I have for my front hip on this same line. So that means I'm on track. I did the right things. So just note that this is your hip point, which is fine. So let's come here and create the dart. The same purpose for the dart for the front is for the back also, is to control fullness and to shaping your hip bone very well to give you a better fit when you wear your skirt. So like I told us here, that whatever you have on the waist, you divide by 2, then you go to the side seam by half. For the front is a bit different, but similar. You divide what you have on the waist by 2, 6.75 divided by 2, like so. This can work for any size, either small or big. So faintly mark the division, then towards the side, this time around you will mark 1 inch. This formula will save you a lot of headache because that is not meant to be too close to the side seam. If it's too close to the size seam, the purpose is already defeated. So you have to find a balance. So this formula works perfectly for all sizes. How it together? So now this becomes my middle of the dart, which is my dart length. This is the middle of the dart. So towards the right and the left of this part, I will still be taking in my half inch towards the right and the left. Don't forget, if you are attaching your skirt to a bodice to make a dress, please use the dart line that is on bodice so that you can have same seam line for your dart. But I'm teaching you this because this is a skirt class only, but I won't fail to explain to you so that when you want to use it to make a dress, you are not confused. Okay, so now this is this. Then the length for the dart for front, it shouldn't be as long as the back, except your design requires it is. So for the front, you can use 5. So I'm using reduced scale for front, so I can decide to put my front at this. Then I will connect with a line. So the line has to be straight, please. So ensure that you are working with straight line. So this is this. I'll connect like so. Then I'll connect to my dart legs. So I'll connect the apex to the legs. Okay, so the same thing I explained at the back. Now after sewing this garment, I will hold this dart. It depends on what you are doing. You can either hold it, stitch it, or cut it off. So by the time I stitch this part and I cut this part off, I have reduced my waist measurement by 1 inch, which will not allow the clothes to fit me any longer. I won't even be able to wear it. So whenever you take in a dart, there's something we call dart replacement. You replace it by the side. Are we together? In case somebody is wondering, why are we replacing the dart again? Why can't you just not take it? You have to take it. You are controlling fullness around this part of your body, but you can return the fullness to the side. It won't affect the fit. The job is done by holding this dart. So when you add the extra that you took out back to the side, it doesn't affect you any longer. Okay, so that being said, I'll just mark my 1 inch, which is my dart replacement. Then I will get my hip curve and connect like so. So this one is even easier because you've already done the back. So I'll connect like so. And this is it. Our basic skirt block is ready. Okay, so we need to do some little additions before we finish. It is advisable you raise your side. This becomes the side seam. Let me label it faintly. Side seam line. Okay, so it is advisable you raise for skirt. We are making just skirt, that you raise your side seam up. So you can raise by 1/2 inch. So how do you do that? Just extend this line up by 1/2. Let me check. I don't want it to be more than 1/2. I love my patterns looking neat. Okay, so it's almost 1/2. So you extend it by 1/2. You extend the back one too by 1/2. Let me use this. There is measurement on my ruler, so I'm trying to follow that. Let's hope it's correct. Let me check with my tape. It's not correct. It remains a little. Okay, so this is this. So this is raised by 0.5 inch. This is raised by 0.5 inch. Then you connect the raised 0.5 inch to your center back. But please don't connect straight to A, because you place these on fold eventually. Don't worry, I will teach you how to put labels on your pattern. You can come out away from A like 1/2 inch. Are we together? Then you connect like so. The essence is that by the time you open up your pattern, you don't have a W. You don't have a W on here, because the raised side is meant to be for the side. It doesn't affect the front, the center front, or center back rather. So this is how it is done. Then if you notice, there are times that when we wear skirts, just skirts, the front part just fold up under your tummy, especially for people that have, you know, tummy. It is necessary you get rid of that excess. If you're a small figure, use half inch. If you are big, if you are making for a big figure, you can use up to 1. But if you're making for medium, small, half inch is okay. Half inch, 0.75 is okay. But if you're making for a big figure, you use up to 1. So it's the same thing. You're connecting your raised side seam to your lowered center front. Okay, so I don't want the connection to be too curvy, so I will try and make it as smooth as possible. And same thing, you might need to make a straight line, like let's say 1/4 of an inch, so that you won't have a W there also. By the time you are transferring on fabric, you understand all these precautions. So this part is going out, this part is going out. Are we together? So this becomes my cut line. There's a symbol, this becomes my cut line. You put something like scissors. Are we together? This becomes my cut line. And that's just it about straight skirts that doesn't have slanted CB. So the next thing to do now is to put in your seam allowances, you know, label, put proper label. When you are cutting your skirts, you should cut on a straight grain, you know, except your design says otherwise. Grain lines, you have to understand grain lines. I will share a video with the class on grain lines for you to understand grain lines. It's important to understand grain lines. So you put your straight grain mark on both the front and the back. Are we together? Okay, and the center front will be cut on fold. There's a sign for cut on fold. You just bring a straight line as long as possible, then you do this. This is the symbol for whenever a pattern maker sees this, the person knows that, oh, this place is meant to be on the folded part of the fabric. Then for zipper allowance, okay, let's add seam allowance. You add 0.5 inch to your waist. Either you are sewing with lining or you are attaching to a band. 0.5 inch is okay, so just write it 0.5 inch. Your side seam, you can add 1 inch. Don't add too much for now. 1 inch is okay. Then to your hem, it depends on the kind of hem you want. If you want to, you know, to have that tiny stitch hem, you can add 1. If you want it to have you know, those thick bold hem, you can add up to 2. So 1 or 2 inches is okay, or let's just stay at the middle, 1.5. Add 1.5 inch. Which other part is left? Then the this part, if you're adding zipper allowance is supposed to be 1 inch, so you would include it. You can either do it on this, but okay, this is a master pattern, so you don't do plenty. As much as possible, make this pattern as simple as you can. As time goes on, you can transfer this pattern paper on another paper. Then on that one, you add all the allowances. But nevertheless, I put in this marking so that you don't forget. So you can add zipper allowance of, let's say, 1/2 inch or 1, depends on you. So 1/2 inch or 1 is okay. If you want your skirt to have slits, yeah, you want to have slits at the end, at the back, you know, for easy movement. The slits you can determine how long you want the slit to be. You know, some people want their slit to be at their above knee, you know, some want it below. It depends. You have for your client's preference. Me, I like my own to be like 2 inches below my above knee. So something like this for me. Are we together? And if you are going to be making overlap slits, so that means, say for example, your zipper allowance is 1, and you've been adding 1 inch for zipper allowance from up. By the time you get to where you want to have overlap, you add more, either 2 or 3. So let's say for example, this is my own overlap. So let me just rule and show you. So that means from here, my zipper allowance is 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. So I will rule 1 inch all the way till I get to where my slits will be. Then when I get to where the slits will be, Then when I get where the slits will be, I will just rule out like so. Can you see what I did? So this is my zipper allowance, and the one on the lower part, is my slit opening. This is my slit opening. So this is zipper allowance. Are we together? So, and that's that. So that means when you are cutting, you will cut like so. Are we together? I don't want to cut this one now, but this is just how it is. So you will cut from here. Let me just show you, because I'll still use this pattern to draft the one with slanted CB. So you cut like so. Are we together? You cut like so. This symbol is for cut. You cut like so. You cut like so. You cut like so. You cut like so. Then add the allowance and cut. So that brings us to the end of our straight basic skirt. I hope you learned something. Okay, I will see you in the next class teaching you how to put your slanted CB. I remain your fashion tutor. My name is Tammy. Thank you.